The backstage of the International Automobile Federation is increasingly turbulent, and the signs of instability within the organization that governs global Formula One continue to intensify. President Mohammed bin Sulayem, known for his controversial style and strict decisions, is facing growing pressure both internally and externally. The newest development is that this pressure now comes with a heavyweight name, Carlos Sainz Sr. The legendary Spanish driver, father of the current Williams team competitor, emerges as a potential successor, and his possible involvement reignites important debates about the future of the organization. Are we truly on the verge of a leadership change within the federation? Or is this merely a political movement that will ultimately be suppressed by the current power structure? There is intense activity behind the scenes. Carlos Sainz Sr., one of the most respected names in motorsports, is reportedly being encouraged by highly influential figures within the racing community to consider an official run for the presidency. Holder of 4 Dakar Rally titles and an internationally recognized career, Sainz could be the ideal candidate to initiate a new phase in the federation's history. He would be up against Mohammed bin Sulayem, who took office in the year 2021 and has since faced ongoing controversies and clashes with drivers and team leaders. So far, bin Sulayem has not officially announced whether he intends to seek another term, but strong indications suggest he will attempt to remain in power, despite the mounting discontent. In a recent public statement, Carlos Sainz Sr. openly expressed his willingness to take on this new challenge, saying that the idea has been maturing over the past few years. In his words, "This possibility didn't just come up now. It's something I've been thinking about for some time. With everything I've experienced in motorsport, I believe this is the ideal moment to contribute even more significantly. I feel ready to lead a transformation process and to build a team that's committed to the values motorsport needs to reclaim. I've learned a lot over the years, and I'm prepared to give back to the sport all that it has given to me." Initially, there were speculations that Susie Wolff, former team principal at Venturi and Formula E, might run for the presidency, which would have marked a major milestone for female leadership in motorsports. However, Susie publicly ruled out that possibility, leaving the path clearer for Carlos Sainz Sr.'s potential candidacy. With that, the idea of a direct showdown between him and bin Sulayem gains traction, a contest that may further expose internal ideological conflicts within the organization and highlight the ongoing tension between tradition, innovation, and ethical leadership. Criticism toward the current president is not in short supply. The most recent controversy involved a proposal to punish drivers for using swear words during radio communications, which sparked outrage among competitors. Many assert that Mohammed bin Sulayem runs the federation in a centralized manner, disregarding the advice of experienced advisors and making decisions disconnected from the realities of racing. The image of a solitary and authoritarian leader is becoming increasingly clear. Carlos Sainz Sr., on the other hand, enjoys a reputation for integrity and professionalism. His rally career, marked by perseverance and victories, serves as an inspiration for many younger drivers. Still, a legitimate concern arises regarding a potential conflict of interest, since his son is actively competing in Formula One. In response, Sainz calmly addressed these concerns. "I've always been transparent and honest. People who know me understand that I can separate my personal life from my professional responsibility. My son is an adult, has a decade of experience in Formula One, and if I take on this mission, our relationship within the sport will have clearly defined boundaries. The federation demands seriousness, and there will be no room for personal interference." The signs of wear and tear in bin Sulayem's administration are becoming increasingly evident. A major indicator of this internal crisis was the resignation of Robert Reid, who had served as the federation's vice president of sport. Reid explained that he stepped down after perceiving a severe breakdown in governance standards, which made it impossible for the institution to function properly. His departure alone was seen by many as a major red flag. Around the same time, another key figure decided to speak out: Natalie Robin, who had held the role of chief executive officer until the previous summer, when she was forced to resign after 18 months in office. In an interview with BBC Sport, Robin was clear in stating that the federation is facing ongoing structural challenges, with serious flaws in its processes and a lack of inclusion in decisions affecting drivers, engineers, and other stakeholders. She emphasized that the practices adopted under the current leadership are undermining efficiency and the legitimacy of the institution. Adding to the criticism were statements from Tim Mayer, former race director, who described constant difficulties in dealing with Ben Sulayem's inflexible approach. Mayer revealed that the president often imposed his vision on specific issues, such as the use of swear words, without consulting other stakeholders. According to Mayer, although swear words are technically considered infractions, the pursuit of such minor offenses reflects a lack of sensitivity and disconnection from the reality of the sport. Faced with such criticism, Ben Sulayem was forced to acknowledge that changes are needed. One of his most recent initiatives was to propose revisions to Appendix B, a section of the International Sporting Code that addresses the ethical conduct of officials and leaders. He stated that he plans to carry out a comprehensive review of this appendix, following constructive criticism from several drivers. In his speech, he said, "Appendix B is a cornerstone of our regulations and must reflect the sport's ongoing evolution. Rules must keep up with the times, and as human beings, we have a duty to improve them whenever necessary. The Federation is everyone's home, and it must maintain that spirit." However, that is not the only recent controversy. Another proposal from Ben Sulayem, generating heated debate, is the possible elimination of the spending cap imposed on Formula One teams. Since that financial limit was introduced, the championship has become more balanced, allowing smaller teams to come closer to the performance of top-tier teams. Still, Ben Sulayem believes the current model is ineffective and proposes its removal. In his words, "The budget cap has only created headaches for the federation. We need to ask ourselves if this really makes sense. The objective should be to simplify things, not complicate them." Despite these proposals, support for the current president remains fragile. Influential names such as Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and George Russell remain distant from the administration. Russell in particular plays a key role in the Grand Prix Drivers Association and has made strong public statements. He has said that drivers feel excluded from the decision-making process and demand more active participation in votes that determine the future of the sport. Hamilton reinforced that sentiment, saying, "We don't have real representation in the discussions that shape the category. That's unacceptable. We need a voice, a seat, real participation." Hamilton's dissatisfaction with the federation has deep roots. In the year 2022, he publicly protested the jewelry ban during races, even wearing all his accessories during the Monaco Grand Prix to make a statement. Another point of contention was the investigation into Susie Wolff, which lacked any clear basis and was quietly closed. The episode damaged her reputation and heightened the climate of mistrust surrounding the federation's internal operations. George Russell, always outspoken and articulate, summed up the collective sentiment in his recent remarks. For him, the absence of concrete actions is wearing drivers down. In his analysis, the organization is full of promises but empty of results. He declared, "We want to see actual changes being implemented. Talking is easy, acting is the hard part. We need transparency and real measures. Without that, nothing changes." Chota. With all these factors in play, the big question arises: is Carlos Sainz Sr. truly the right person to lead this renewal? And more importantly, does Mohammed Ben Sulayem still have the conditions to continue at the head of the International Automobile Federation? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and take a moment to click on the video that is now appearing on your screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, so you can stay up to date with all the latest news from the world of Formula One.